Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to bring you the insights that truly matter. Today, we're plunging into something that, well, it touches nearly every modern life, this relentless pursuit of more.
Hmm.
That feeling,
Yeah.
that we constantly need to do more, be more, achieve more. It's a drive that can fuel incredible ambition, absolutely, but it often comes with these hidden costs, these insidious ways it can impact our well-being, our satisfaction.
It's a huge paradox, isn't it? We're sort of conditioned to believe that success equals happiness, but then you see so many high achievers who are just deeply unfulfilled.
Right.
And this deep dive, it's really about unraveling that contradiction, trying to understand how these drivers, which seem so positive on the surface, can actually become these debilitating traps.
Exactly. So our mission for you today is to really unpack these multifaceted pressures of modern achievement. We're going to explore, that intersection of social media validation, the pervasive reality of burnout, and these often unseen success traps that can just silently undermine happiness.
And to do that, we've pulled together quite a range of sources.
We really have everything from a really raw, candid online confession from an artist, grappling with engagement metrics, to expert insights on burnout and really high-stakes professions like healthcare, and even the eye-opening experiences of a very prominent online figure.
Yeah, it's a great mix. Our goal here is to pull out the most potent nuggets of knowledge from all these different perspectives. We want to equip you with a deeper understanding of these subtle, yet, well, incredibly powerful pressures.
And more importantly,
More importantly, empower you with practical strategies, ways to redefine what success genuinely means on your own terms. It's really about cultivating a life that's healthier, more balanced, and actually truly fulfilling.
okay, let's start with something I think many people can relate to, especially anyone who's put creative work online. It's this lure, this trap of external validation. We're starting with the raw honesty of a Reddit user, shityardist01.
Yes, that post was quite striking.
It really was. Imagine dedicating yourself to improving your art, feeling genuinely happy with your daily progress in some challenge, only to watch your online engagement just plummet. And that turns your personal satisfaction into this crushing disappointment.
That's exactly what Shityardist01 described. They had this initial, really exhilarating surge, right? Gained 400 new followers in just a month, loads of likes, comments.
Dopamine hit.
Totally. But then, almost immediately, a sharp drop-off, like a 50% decrease in engagement that just felt like a punch to the gut, as they put it.
And this is where that internal conflict really kicks in. Despite knowing intellectually that likes shouldn't matter, and despite objectively improving their art, they admitted the falling engagement really gets me down. Suddenly, those good things don't matter anymore. It's such a powerful, almost heartbreaking admission. Feeling addicted to social media validation, even feeling jealous of others' growth.
And they recognized it too, right? That comparison is truly the thief of joy. But the sheer speed of it, the sudden surge and sharpness of the drop, it just left them reeling.
What's particularly tough about this artist's situation is that double-edged sword element.
Yeah, for creatives, social media isn't just casual fun, is it?
Not at all. It's often seen as a necessity. For career growth, building a business, future opportunities, it feels essential.
Which creates this huge internal conflict. Because simply quitting doesn't feel like a viable option. It feels like you're sacrificing your future if you step away.
Right, so you're stuck needing to engage with the very system that's actively undermining your self-worth. It's a real bind.
And this isn't just about artists, of course. This whole chase for external validation,
Yeah.
it's deeply engineered. It's woven into the fabric of social media itself.
Yeah, Ben Ufana's piece, Trapped in Social Media's Validation Feedback Loop, really unpacks this. He points out these platforms aren't primarily designed for our benefit.
Not really, no.
They're designed to be highly customizable, sure, and they leverage our natural desire for social connection, but their ultimate success metric, it's based entirely on how much time we spend staring at the screen.
It's fundamentally a distraction-based economy. It capitalizes on our psychology, our vulnerabilities.
Exactly. The people building these platforms, they've kind of mastered exploiting human psychology. They built this thing called the social validation feedback loop, which is meticulously engineered, designed to consume as much of your time and attention as possible.
And they do it through those rapid, unpredictable little rewards, right?
Yeah.
The dopamine hits from likes, comments, shares. Each one trains our brain, creates this positive association with the app itself, It conditions us to crave more.
And it goes beyond just the likes, doesn't it? Think about phone notification, those sounds, the bright colors, the little red badges. Ufana explains how these seemingly small things create an almost Pavlovian emotional connection to our devices.
Yeah, they make it really difficult for us to disconnect or take breaks. We're sort of tethered, emotionally tethered.
And there's another layer to this addiction, right? This idea of intermittent reinforcement.
Oh, absolutely. That plays on the power of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when the next reward, the comment will arrive.
Yeah.
You find yourself compulsively checking, just constantly pulling that lever, hoping for a win.
It's a classic technique for fostering addiction, basically. Highly effective.
But it's ultimately, well, it's an illusion, isn't it? All those digital gestures, the likes, the swipes, the quick messages, yeah, they trigger a fleeting dopamine rush.
Right.
But as Afana points out, they don't translate into any kind of commitment or bond with another human being. This online validation, it just should not be our primary source of self-worth.
But for so many people, it ends up becoming exactly that.
And the fallout from this constant digital immersion, it goes way beyond just how we feel about ourselves. Think about the impact on our actual relationships. Well, excessive screen time can lead to decreased quality time together, feelings of disconnection. Even trust issues can crop up, especially when people constantly compare their own relationship to these seemingly perfect online portrayals.
The highlight reels.
Exactly. It actively hinders forming authentic relationships, too, because there's this fear of judgment. So people end up altering their true selves, presenting this curated online persona instead.
And what about self-perception itself? How does social media warp that?
It seems to have this way of amplifying the narcissistic traits in individuals who are already preoccupied with themselves, their image, and their reputation.
Interesting.
It essentially reinforces prioritizing your audience, your social status, over fostering deep, meaningful connections. It becomes about showcasing your best self, constantly performing, rather than genuinely investing in others' well-being.
And it's not just psychological, is it? There are potential impacts on our actual brain health and cognition, too.
That's right. Social media kind of bombards us with constant distractions and superficial information, which makes genuine deep thinking incredibly challenging.
Like trying to read a book in the middle of a nightclub.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And studies have linked prolonged screen time to actual changes in gray and white matter volumes, a heightened risk of mental disorders, and even impaired learning and memory. It could potentially lead to long-term cognitive decline.
Wow. So our brains are being conditioned to process huge amounts of shallow information really fast. This constant floodlighting of attention, the nonstop task switching, it causes significant cognitive fatigue.
Yeah, it severely impedes our ability to truly comprehend things, to retain information deeply. It's like our brains are constantly sprinting, never jogging or resting, leaves you feeling scattered, exhausted.
And this relentless cycle, the external validation seeking, the feeling of never being enough, it doesn't just hurt our self-worth. It creates this pervasive undercurrent of stress that can lead pretty directly into burnout territory.
Which is so much more than just being tired.
Right. Burnout isn't just a trendy buzzword. It's a profound, often debilitating experience. The concept itself isn't new. I think it was first used for air traffic controllers back in the 70s.
That's right, 1971. But the most widely accepted definition now comes from Christina Maslach. She conceptualized it as a syndrome with 3 core dimensions.
Okay, so what are these dimensions? Why are they so key to understanding burnout today, beyond just feeling exhausted?
It's a great question because it is often misunderstood. Maslach's work is crucial here. The first dimension she identified is emotional exhaustion.
Okay.
And that's that core feeling, being completely drained, depleted, like your emotional resources have just run dry.
So much deeper than just physical tiredness. It's like an emotional well that's empty. What's the next dimension?
That would be depersonalization or cynicism. This is a kind of profound detachment from your work, from your colleagues, maybe even from the people you're supposed to be helping. It often shows up as a cynical, uncaring, or even callous attitude.
Like a defense mechanism.
Exactly. It's a psychological distancing. A way to cope, maybe, but a destructive one.
And the third dimension, this one feels like it hits right at our sense of purpose.
It really does. The third is lack of personal accomplishment or inefficacy. This is that crushing feeling of being ineffective, a decline in your sense of achievement, or this growing belief that you can't do your job well anymore, no matter how hard you try.
Wow.
And the key insight really is that burnout isn't something that happens overnight. It's a developmental process. It evolves, much like the body's physiological response to chronic stress. You go through alarm, then resistance, and finally exhaustion.
There's a quote that really captures this spiral. What started out as important, meaningful, and challenging work becomes unpleasant, unfulfilling, and meaningless. Energy turns into exhaustion, involvement turns into cynicism, and efficacy turns into ineffectiveness.
That sums it up perfectly. It captures that slow erosion, losing yourself in a demanding environment.
So when we look at where burnout is most common, certain demanding professions really stand out, don't they? Healthcare seems particularly vulnerable.
Oh, significantly. That 2022 NHS workforce survey, the numbers were quite stark. 34% of participants reported feeling burned out because of their work, and 37.4% found it emotionally exhausting. And that's from over 636,000 NHS staff in England.
Those are huge numbers, and it gets even more specific within healthcare, right?
It does. Nearly 40% of nurses and midwives, 39.7% to be precise, reported burnout. But what's really striking is the ambulance staff. Almost half, 49.3%, reported feeling burned out.
Nearly half. That's staggering.
What's fascinating about that ambulance staff finding, though, is that alongside that high depersonalization, an incredible 94% also reported high levels of personal achievement.
So the work can be incredibly meaningful and incredibly draining at the same time.
Exactly. It suggests that the work can be deeply satisfying, but the stress is just immense, still leading to burnout.
Yeah.
It also points to this pervasive occupational culture in healthcare. Remember that cartoon we looked at? The nurse with a fever, 38.2 degrees, thinking, meh, get back to work, wuss. We'll worry when it gets to 39.
Yeah, that really stuck with me.
It perfectly illustrates that deep-seated culture of pushing through illness, normalizing this unsustainable level of self-sacrifice.
It's almost seen as a badge of honor, working while sick. But this brings us to a really critical point about burnout's root causes. It is overwhelmingly not just about individual resilience or lack thereof.
That's so important to emphasize. Research consistently shows that organizational factors make a much stronger contribution to burnout than individual differences.
So we're talking about systemic issues. What are the main culprits?
Broadly, you can group them into a few key areas. First, just unsustainable demands, crushing workloads, heavy caseloads, constant pressure to meet targets. Basically, too much work, too few people, not enough time.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Second, a lack of control and autonomy. Think about healthcare staff not having enough time with patients, or just a general lack of influence over their own work, over decisions that affect them. That feeling of powerlessness is incredibly demoralizing.
Yeah, I can see that. And the third area?
That's the toxic work culture. This can manifest in so many ways. Poor social support from managers or colleagues, bullying, harassment, a lack of respect.
A metrics culture.
Exactly, where numbers overshadow the actual quality of care or human well-being. Then there are conflicts in values. Maybe practitioners feel they can't provide the care they believe is necessary. And poor psychological safety, where seeking help is stigmatized. All these things contribute massively.
No, while the organizational factors are the big drivers, individual risk factors do play a role, don't they? And they often interact with the system.
They do. Things like maybe dysfunctional workaholism or getting too involved, that rescuing orientation with patients. Certain personality traits like high neuroticism or maybe a type A personality might increase susceptibility.
And things like coping mechanisms.
Yeah, poor emotion regulation skills, chronic rumination about work, just constantly replaying things in your head, and a real struggle with work-life balance. These individual aspects can definitely interact with a demanding environment to make things worse.
We saw this in those case studies, didn't we? Like Natasha, the nurse redeployed to ICU, feeling drained, ignored by her manager.
Leading to cynicism and her needing to see her GP. Or Andrew, the senior staff nurse in ITU, becoming exhausted, isolated, eventually taking sick leave and a lower-grade job. These aren't just individual failures. They're profound responses to overwhelming systemic pressures.
It's clear the pressure to achieve and the burnout that follows, it isn't just about work stress, it seeps right into our sense of self. And that brings us neatly to another personal cost. Imposter syndrome.
Ah, yes. That creeping sense that you didn't really deserve the opportunity. That feeling like a fraud, even when you've objectively earned your place.
It's important to clarify it's not technically a mental health diagnosis in itself, right?
Correct. But it is strongly associated with depression, anxiety, and other behavioral health concerns. And what's really striking is how common it is among high achievers. Especially in fields like medicine, studies suggest up to 60% of medical students report feeling it.
60%. That's
Yeah.
huge. And it directly links to later burnout and worse mental health outcomes.
And it disproportionately affects marginalized groups, too. Women, racial minorities who are often underrepresented, particularly in fields like medicine.
And it's not just about numbers, is it? There are structural, systemic factors actively contributing to these feelings.
Absolutely. Things like poor mentorship, low feelings of belonging, and experiences of racial or gender discrimination, including microaggressions.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about female physicians constantly being mistaken for nurses, or subtle, insidious comments suggesting someone only got into medical school because of affirmative action. These kinds of biases directly reinforce that sense of not belonging, feeding the imposter feelings.
And the consequences can be really damaging. People might start to question themselves, they might isolate, they might undervalue their achievements.
Or, conversely, they might feel driven to take on more responsibilities, to prove that they belong, which, of course, directly relates to burnout. It's a vicious cycle.
Dr. Brandon Ito, a psychiatrist at UCLA Health, shared his own experience with this as a first-generation medical student, feeling already behind the ball compared to peers whose parents were doctors, who grew up immersed in that world.
And these feelings, they can lead to losing enjoyment in your work or studies, feeling cynical. Remember Rukshana, the trainee dentist?
Yes, academically brilliant, but struggling with the practicalities.
Exactly. High IQ, but overwhelmed by administrative work, missing deadlines. Her underlying ADHD and autism traits, combined with that overwhelming environment, manifested as this crushing self-doubt, feeling she'd made a terrible mistake, that she clearly knew nothing. It really echoes that imposter syndrome experience.
This leads us into another really fascinating concept tying this all together: the success traps. Dr. Dimitrios Satiris, a psychiatrist, makes this point that seems almost counterintuitive at first. Success does not equal happiness.
Right. He observes that so many outwardly accomplished people are actually deeply dissatisfied beneath the surface.
So what are these traps?
Well, one of the key ones he identifies is the reality check of immersion. The basic truth that you simply cannot know what something is like until you fully immerse yourself.
Okay.
He uses his own path to becoming a physician as an example. Volunteering, shadowing, none of it could truly prepare him for the grind of working 30-hour shifts, taking day-long exams, or the aggravation of navigating a fragmented, disjointed healthcare system. Only living it reveals the full picture, the highs and the lows.
And there's the trap of the evolving self.
So here's highlights that human beings are dynamic. We change. Your values, beliefs, desires today might be completely different a decade from now.
So a path that feels perfect now might feel totally wrong for your future self.
Exactly. Leading to potential dissatisfaction down the line, even if you succeeded on the original terms.
And the third trap.
That's the idealized illusion. This is our tendency as humans to idealize success and minimize its negative impact on our health, our relationships, our ability to just experience life fully.
He gives a personal example, doesn't he?
He does, sacrificing his entire 20s to medical studies, being hunched over a book instead of, say, backpacking the world. He acknowledges he can never make up for the lost time. We often don't factor in those costs when chasing a goal.
So putting these traps together, it really helps explain why even highly successful people like Dr. Karan Rajan, who we'll discuss later, can hit all their goals and still feel dissatisfied or experience near burnout.
Precisely. You achieve everything you set out to do, and yet something's missing. It feels empty.
Which connects perfectly to this broader cultural phenomenon we often call hustle culture.
Ah, yes. Hustle culture. At its heart, it's a mindset that really glorifies being constantly busy. It promotes what some call toxic productivity.
Toxic productivity. Explain that a bit more.
It's that relentless compulsion to keep doing more, even when your body and brain are screaming for a break. It subtly teaches you that taking time off makes you lazy, that your fundamental worth is tied directly to your output, your productivity.
And it's fueled by those mantras you hear everywhere, isn't it? Sleep is for the weak, rise and grind, you can't rest until you're rich.
Exactly. And as one source powerfully put it, these are simply dumb to believe. It's not just about working hard. It's this all-consuming obsession with constant activity, often to the point of losing yourself completely.
Beyond just being busy, hustle culture can lead to this profound emotional flattening, right? A landscape of constant anxiety, crushing guilt.
Absolutely. Where even basic rest feels like a luxury you haven't earned. This relentless internal pressure can just extinguish your passion, leading to apathy. Nothing really matters anymore.
So you're not just tired, you're emotionally disconnected. from things you loved, maybe even from yourself. And then comes the 247 guilt.
Oh yeah. Take a nap. Guilt. Watch a movie. Guilt. Say no to extra work. Guilt. Rest isn't seen as a human need, but something you have to constantly earn.
And this often gets masked by toxic positivity, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. That pressure to suppress uncomfortable emotions, plaster a smile over the stress, always be grateful, even when you're actually falling apart inside.
Which inevitably destroys any sense of work-life balance. The lines just blur completely. Work bleeds into everything, a slow bleed of your personal time and energy.
And your physical health suffers too. Your immunity takes a hit. Prolonged stress, long hours, they increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, panic attacks become common. Your body literally starts to rebel by getting sick more often.
But hustle culture tells you to just push through it.
Right. And the ultimate destination, of course, is burnout itself. Not always dramatic, often just waking up already exhausted, losing focus, being irritable, feeling utterly drained in a way no weekend can fix.
This also leads to chronic sleep problems, right? Your mind just won't shut off.
Yeah, constantly replaying unfinished work, anxieties. Sleep starts to feel like another task you failed at. You're in this state of high alert, waking up just as tired.
And finally, inevitably, your relationships suffer. You're too busy, too mentally checked out for loved ones, messages go unanswered, plans get postponed.
Leading to isolation. Hustle culture kind of subtly implies success requires isolation, but it rarely warns you just how lonely that road can become.
This brings us to someone who's navigated these exact pressures and, crucially, seems to have redefined success for himself, Dr. Karan Rajan.
His journey is really compelling. He offers some powerful insights into balancing that ambition with well-being and finding real impact.
Dr. Rajan's story is pretty remarkable. He's not just an NHS surgeon. He's also a best-selling author and, well, one of the biggest healthcare educators on social media in the UK now.
And his ambition started young. He wanted to be a neurosurgeon, a doctor from childhood, inspired partly by his doctor mom, even though she actually pushed me against the idea, knowing how tough it was.
But his dad encouraged it.
Yeah, apparently his dad saw doctors as supermen. So, mixed messages there.
And the training path.
Yeah.
It's incredibly demanding.
Oh, unbelievably so. 5 or 6 grueling years of medical school, then foundation years, then core surgical training, then another 6 years of higher specialty training.
Wow.
He actually says medical school is the easiest time of your life compared to what comes after. The continuous exams, interviews, the constant professional development CPD required, it's a never-ending ladder.
And the financial side might surprise people too, starting salaries around 25K, 27K, moving up to maybe 60K as a specialty doctor.
Yeah, and he argues that's fundamentally underpaid for the sheer stress and sacrifice involved. He also highlights the hidden money game, paying for exams, conferences, hundreds in annual fees, just to maintain your license and those letters after your name.
So despite this incredibly tough path, he finds himself constantly asking that question.
Is it time I walk away? Is it time I quit?
Yeah.
He said that thought became even more frequent during the pandemic. The stress, the lack of work-life balance, the fear of exposing his family, it was immense.
So why doesn't he quit? What keeps him going in medicine?
He talks about a deep love for surgery itself. The unique buzz of the hospital environment, the camaraderie, the in-jokes, but also the technical satisfaction of seeing his own skills progress, from assisting to performing complex operations independently.
So he's juggling both careers for now.
Yeah, he plans to juggle both medicine and his online work for now. He mentioned maybe considering leaving medicine in about a decade once he feels he's sort of had his fill.
Okay, let's switch gears to his social media journey. How did that start?
It started quite organically, actually, back in 2012 on YouTube, purely for fun. He said he genuinely enjoyed the creative process, scripting, filming, editing. It was, in his words, a 10-year overnight success.
Huh, like that. But it grew into something much bigger.
It really did. It became a whole beast, essentially a second career. And with that came significant pressure, which comes with performance. He admits there was a period where it became less fun because of this self-imposed pressure to meet audience expectations for views and likes.
That sounds familiar, linking back to the artist's story. He fell into that vanity cycle.
He explicitly calls it the vanity cycle, or vanity trap. He described how he would worry and obsess about views and likes and shares and engagement and followers. Every new video felt like a competition with the previous content.
Leading to that thought, what have I done wrong if the numbers dipped?
Exactly. And he acknowledges that this desire for external validation is somewhat inevitable. It's human nature to seek approval. but it became consuming.
But then he had a breakthrough, a shift in perspective.
He did, a crucial shift. He realized social media isn't the be-all and end-all. His real light bulb moment came after posting a video about skin cancer. He received dozens of messages from people saying they'd gotten checked out because of his video and were subsequently diagnosed early. For him, that changed everything. Yes, what's the price of saving someone's life? It's worth more than 1 million views.
Wow, that's powerful.
That underrated metric, the real-world, tangible impact, that's what fuels his motivation now, not just the views.
He also suggests that going through that period of difficulty was necessary.
Yeah, he believes experiencing that near burnout and frustration and angst about metrics was actually a necessary part of his journey. He sees failure not as the opposite of success, but as a building block on the way to success.
So it was only after that struggle that he became well-adjusted about my thoughts about social media, shifting his focus from those superficial metrics to genuine purpose and impact.
Exactly. And his integrity really seems central to his work now. He's very intentional about who you work with and why you work with them.
Turning down dodgy offers.
Consistently. He thoroughly vets potential partners, even checking out a friend's company rigorously. He lives by the principle, the company you keep determines how you're perceived.
And his content has evolved too, hasn't it? From just weird medical facts.
Through a much stronger mission of debunking misinformation on really critical health topics, COVID vaccines, gut health myths, dodgy supplements, he sees his role now primarily as an educator.
Empowering people.
Yes, empowering people with solid health knowledge so they can improve yourself so you need the NHS less, as he puts it. And crucially, he actively challenges that quick fix mentality. He exposes unrealistic ideals, whether it's about generic multivitamins being mostly expensive urine or the dangers of bizarre health fads like, well, some are too weird to mention.
Right. But it connects back to that idealized illusion trap we discussed, that constant chase for the perfect body, optimal health, often fueled by misleading info.
It becomes another form of that relentless drive for more, pushing us towards something that might not even be real or healthy.
How does he manage his time, juggling these two massive careers? He calls time his rate-limiting step.
His solution, he says, is to shorten that bridge between idea and execution. If he has an idea, he tries to act on it quickly. He allocates a dedicated 2 or 3 hours today, specifically for social media work, and he's planning to expand his team editors, scriptwriters, a PA to free up more creative time.
He's thinking long-term, too, about sustainability.
Definitely. He recognizes that creating daily content is not sustainable when I'm 50 with 3 kids and 2 dogs and a cat. His longer-term vision includes building businesses, being an advisor, writing more books, leveraging his platform for different income streams, not just grinding out videos forever.
Which makes sense. Sustainable success often means diversifying, defining purpose beyond one single demanding path.
And his core advice for listeners wanting to make health changes, it directly counters that quick fix idea.
He says nothing is a quick fix.
Exactly. He encourages thinking in terms of a several-month plan, breaking down big goals into small steps. His ultimate advice is just incredibly simple. Just start. Don't overthink it. Shorten that bridge between idea and execution.
Dr. Rajan's journey, his whole perspective, it really offers a powerful blueprint, doesn't it, for navigating these modern pressures, finding genuine fulfillment beyond just the metrics.
It really does. It's about impact over vanity, integrity over quick wins, and consistent small actions over overwhelming leaps.
Which brings us to the really practical part. Strategies for actually breaking these cycles. And the absolutely critical starting point is remembering burnout is not an individual failing.
Cannot emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
It's not an illness, not a failure to cope, not a sign of weakness. It is fundamentally a response to unhealthy organizational practices.
Which means
that individually focused interventions, while helpful, are often just band-aids if they don't tackle the unhealthy organizational practices that are the root cause.
So we need a multi-level approach, systemic change.
Precisely. The Burnout in Healthcare Guide recommends thinking in terms of primary, secondary, and tertiary interventions. At the primary, or organizational level, the focus has to be on prevention. By fostering a culture where showing vulnerability is not stigmatized, where self-compassion is actually encouraged, and where seeking help is normalized, not seen as weak. It also involves cultivating compassionate leadership training managers to spot burnout signs and ensuring they look after their own well-being too.
Organizations also need to be proactive in addressing systemic risk factors, right? Using tools to identify and minimize those hazards related to demands, control, support, Relationships, change, role clarity.
Absolutely. Ultimately, it's about creating genuinely sustainable work environments,
Which means what, practically?
manageable workloads, offering choice and control maybe through job crafting, allowing employees some say in shaping their roles, providing proper recognition and reward, both tangible and intangible, fostering a truly supportive work community, ensuring fairness and justice, and aligning the work with clear values and a sense of meaningful purpose.
That cartoon showing the popular drop-in relaxation sessions, even attended by the chief exec, that kind of top-down commitment can really start to shift the culture, can it? From sacrifice to well-being.
It really can signal a change. Now, moving to secondary interventions, these operate more at the individual and team level. They help people cope more effectively when pressures inevitably arise.
Team support seems key here.
Incredibly powerful. Fostering social connectedness, setting up peer support networks like the TRIM model adapted for healthcare. Because coworkers are often uniquely adept in detecting early signs of burnout in each other.
So it's really important for us all to know the signs of struggle to watch out for in colleagues. What are some examples?
Things like subtle changes in behavior or attitude, maybe increased irritability, someone becoming quiet or withdrawn, missing meetings or deadlines, consistently sending emails late at night or early morning, zoning out in conversations, even a noticeable change in appearance or self-care.
Spotting those early could make a huge difference.
Absolutely. On the individual level, key strategies include cultivating self-reflection, really tuning in to recognize your own early warning signs.
How can you do that practically?
Simple tools can help, like emotional writing or journaling, even just for 2 minutes a day, or practicing mindfulness. It's about understanding your own responses to stress and actually listening to those inner signals before they become deafening.
Then there's enhancing self-appreciation.
Yes, actively valuing your work, taking pride in it, internalizing positive outcomes instead of just dismissing them or attributing them to luck, and critically prioritizing self-care.
And not just bubble baths, right?
Exactly. Think of it as an essential survival skill, ensuring adequate sleep, proper nutrition, genuine rest, the fundamentals.
Being more mindful is another powerful tool. How is that defined here?
As paying attention, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. The benefits are pretty extensive, promoting self-compassion, protecting against burnout, improving work-life balance.
And building a supportive network.
Crucial. Having trusted people both inside and outside work, you can lean on.
And finally, protecting boundaries and prioritizing recovery.
Absolutely vital for work-life balance. Mentally disengaging from work is key. Using strategies like better time management, maybe even cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT techniques, to reduce that work rumination and improve well-being overall.
Okay, what about overcoming imposter syndrome specifically? Any practical steps?
Some good suggestions include, first, just recognizing what's happening when those feelings arise, acknowledging the broader structural factors that might be contributing, and maybe intentionally compiling a list of small accomplishments to actively relish and internalize.
Remind yourself of your capabilities.
Exactly. And importantly, give yourself grace. Acknowledge that you are here for a reason. You've likely navigated many hurdles and selection processes that others didn't. Seeking help if it leads to isolation or worsening anxiety or depression is also key.
And for navigating those success traps we talked about earlier, how can we have a healthier relationship with achievement itself?
There were 5 key tips there. First, remain balanced. Don't sacrifice your health and relationships on the altar of your goals. Second, recalibrate expectations. Understand that success brings its own challenges. It's not a magic fix for everything.
Third, shift your success meter. Start focusing more on the process, on self-discovery, on personal growth, not just the final outcome or destination.
Fourth, be more present. Consciously appreciate the journey, the progress you're making right now, regardless of where you ultimately end up. And fifth, practice humility. Acknowledge both your strengths and your weaknesses. This helps avoid those intoxicating highs and the inevitable crushing lows of chasing external validation.
And we saw examples of recovery, didn't we? Jenny, the junior doctor, recovering from burnout and a near-miss error through CBT and organizational support.
Yes, showing that combined approach works. And Rukshana, the trainee dentist, finding success and confidence through neurodiversity-affirming coaching that addressed her specific needs within the demanding environment. Recovery is possible with the right support.
Perhaps the most hopeful sign for changing things long-term comes from the next generation, from Gen Z.
It does seem that way. They appear to be actively rejecting hustle culture. They've seen their parents and older siblings run on fumes, apparently, and they want absolutely no part of it.
Their priorities seem different, more focus on openly talking about mental health.
Yes. Prioritizing purpose over paychecks
Yeah.
and really redefining success as something that feels good, not just the one that looks good on LinkedIn. It's a fundamental value shift.
So what's their practical approach to breaking the cycle?
It's quite eliminating. First, self-care over anything. Truly listening to their bodies, giving themselves explicit permission to rest, recognizing humans aren't machines built for nonstop output.
Second, they know when to stop.
Exactly. Recognizing limits, consciously closing the laptop, saying no when needed. They see this not as weakness, but as an act of wisdom, of self-preservation.
They also fiercely protect their boundaries. Boundaries matter.
Setting and protecting their time, their energy, their emotional space, treating it as essential for their peace.
They also accept the escape.
Yeah, stepping back from the grind when needed is seen as a radical act of self-respect, not failure. And crucially, they actively find joy beyond the paycheck.
Redefining identity outside of work.
Yes, rediscovering hobbies, connecting with people, actually living life, rather than just trying to monetize every single moment of it.
Ultimately, as one source put it, escaping hustle culture isn't about dropping everything and running off to live in the mountains, though maybe that sounds nice sometimes.
Maybe. It's more about unlearning the idea that you have to earn your worth through exhaustion, realizing no title, no paycheck, no deadline is worth completely losing yourself for.
So, wrapping this all up, we've really dug deep today, haven't we, into this complex landscape of modern pressures.
We really have. From that raw vulnerability of the artist chasing likes online to the huge systemic challenges driving burnout in careers like healthcare, and then the really insightful journey of someone like Dr. Karan Raja navigating it all.
We've seen how imposter syndrome and those sneaky success traps just compound the pressure, and how pervasive hustle culture fuels this whole cycle of exhaustion.
But the core message, I think, the takeaway from this deep dive is pretty clear. While those external pressures, validation-seeking, societal expectations, they're undeniably powerful forces.
Understanding how they work, understanding the mechanisms, that actually empowers you. It gives you the power to reclaim your own narrative, to redefine success on your own terms.
Exactly. True achievement isn't just about output or accolades or climbing some ladder. It's intrinsically linked to actually cultivating your well-being, setting healthy boundaries, finding real profound purpose in your life, both inside and outside of whatever your professional pursuits are.
It's about chasing a more holistic, maybe more human definition of what it really means to succeed.
Well said.
So as you go about your week, maybe mull this over. Here's a final provocative thought for you. In a world that relentlessly pushes you to hustle, to constantly seek that external applause, what would your life actually look like if your primary metric for success was simply your own inner peace, and maybe your consistent, quiet impact rather than public acclaim? What's maybe one small boundary you can set or one tiny step you can take this week just to begin reclaiming even a sliver of that personal peace?